Hey guys, in this GuitarLessons.com gear review, we're going to be taking a look at the Vox Time Machine Joe Satriani's delay pedal. It's a really cool pedal. This is actually the first time I've played it. I was pretty impressed at how simple it was, but at the same time, how much it can do. I'll just take you through all the features on it real quick. Level knob, just like any other delay pedal. Delay range, which if you're setting your delay manually and not using the tap tempo, that just picks from 1000 milliseconds to around 500 milliseconds to around 250 to around 125 milliseconds. Then once you get whichever one of those tuned in that you want, you fine tune the delay with the time knob. So if you're not into the tap tempo thing, that's the way you do that. If you are into the tap tempo, each millisecond setting, it's not marked on the actual pedal, but each millisecond setting is a setting for the tap tempo for the subdivisions that you want when you tap in something. If you select 1000 milliseconds, it's straight quarter notes. 500 milliseconds is dotted eighth notes. 250 milliseconds is just regular standard eighth notes. 125 milliseconds is eighth note triplets. So you can see the tap tempos in there just wigging out while I'm changing the milliseconds on the manual stuff. So go back to 500. See, the next knob over here is the time, and that's just, like I said, if you're wanting to do manual setting of your delay, that's just to tweak your delay time manually. So, and the feedback knob, obviously, how many repeats you're going to get on the pedal on the delay that you have. The hi-fi, lo-fi switch is pretty neat. It's like a mode switch, pretty much. Hi-fi is real clean and bright, nice, sharp, modern delay sound. Lo-fi, if you click it down to lo-fi, I'll let you hear all this stuff later too. Lo-fi is actually, it applies to EQ curves that Joe specially designed for his pedal. It's a high-pass filter and a low-pass filter, so it gets a more, obviously, lo-fi, kind of a high-end roll-off and deterioration sound as the repeats repeat more and more, or just in general on the repeats. And on and off. And then, my favorite part, I love tap tempos on any kind of delay pedal. It's just convenient for live stuff and studio stuff for that matter. And if you hold the tap tempo down, it goes from vintage or from modern to vintage mode. Green light is modern mode, red light is vintage mode. The difference between those two is this right here. Modern is real sharp, crisp delay, really defined, and when you go to the vintage, it's more of a kind of a tape delay, or like a vintage style delay where the roll off on each subsequent repeat gets darker and loses some of the high end, and it says it adds some modulation effect to the delay too. So it's a nice feature to have. And take a look at some of the sounds you can get out of this thing. I have an amp set to clean. I have a THD Flexi 50 head set to clean, and we're just going to go through, actually it's just some of the presets in the manual so you can hear what they sound like, what they're supposed to sound like. So let's make sure. This is the one they call the standard Joe Satriani tone, what he uses. So it's 500 milliseconds, thereabouts. And feedback's pretty high. Levels at a moderate level. I'll give you a dry sound first so you can hear what it's supposed to sound like. Turn it on for you. So it's nice. It's a great sounding delay. It costs $200, I believe, is the street price on this, which is a bit expensive for a pedal. But when you compare it to other delay pedals, that its competition is really not that expensive, especially for a good quality delay pedal. And it's a brick. It's built really well. I have no complaints about that. 2 outputs, one regular out, one dry input over there. Now let's switch up the settings on here, and I'll give you another preset. And then I'll go through all these again and give you a little bit sample what they sound like with some overdrive on them too. So this one is called Rockabilly, and it's going to be more of a shorter kind of delay, slap back kind of sound. Okay, I set the knobs for the Rockabilly setting and left it on modern. It's on hi-fi still, so the delays will be kind of sharp. I'll go into vintage mode to hear what the Rockabilly sounds like when you just change modes on the pedal. So I just rolled off a little bit of the high end, added a little subtle mod. Alright, this is the garage preset. Really fast delay. It's on the 125 milliseconds. Feedback's pretty high. Level's pretty high too. So it's real slap back. Alright, now let's take a look at how the delay range affects the tap tempo function. If you have it on 1000 milliseconds, you're going to get straight quarter notes. So let's tap a tempo in here. You see, put the feedback a little bit up so you can hear what it sounds like. And that's quarter notes to it. If you put 500 milliseconds but leave your tap there, it'll move to dotted eighths automatically. That's pretty cool. And go over to 250 and that'll go to straight eighth notes. And then 125 milliseconds is just straight eighth note triplets. That's pretty cool. That's real handy for me in live situations where I want two different delay types, but at the same tempo. So that's a really cool function. Let me hear some overdriven tones and some lead stuff too. I put on a straight 500 and a 250 millisecond delay for you so you can hear what that sounds like. 500 milliseconds of delay on here, pretty common delay setting for lead stuff, and I've got a couple overdrive pedals on for good lead tones so you can hear what it sounds like in that context. Here you go. Let's just leave it at 500 and I'll tap in a different tempo, pretty slow one. You can see how it goes from just straight quarter notes at 500 milliseconds to whatever you tap in, it'll go to dotted eighth notes. So I'll play a couple little more lead licks with a lot of distortion. Alright, so I'm a fan of the Time Machine. It's not as big as some delay pedals like the Line 6 pedal, and it's not as complicated either. It's got enough things on it to where you can get pretty much whatever sound you want. A couple different modes here, a couple different modes here. Lots of delay time. It's not super expensive. It's no more or less than any other pedal that does this for this quality. So I like it, guys. It doesn't take up tons of real estate on your pedal board. So if you're looking for a good delay pedal, you might want to check this one out.